Hello, this is Joseph from Gorilla 3D. In this tutorial, we'll be going over some simple if statements and how to use them. So we're going to be learning if, else, and else if, as well as how to use if in different syntax. Alright, so first thing, let's go ahead and set up a variable. Let's say var equals, let's do a random number here. Ran is a function that lets you cast a random number between whatever two numbers you pick. So let's say between 1 and 100. Now let's go ahead and set up an if. So let's say that if, and we use the brackets to encase our expression here, if var, and we use the double equal signs to test our expression here. And so we have if var equals, let's say 50, and then we add the curly brackets to encase our actual statement here. So as you can see, I have my brackets defined here. Most people put them up here, but just for readability, it's nicer to have them right below it instead. So then we can say echo var is 50. So now if we save this and we refresh it, as you can see, we're probably going to do this about 100 times before we can actually get to 50. So then we can say that if var is greater than or equal to 50, then we can say var is 50 or greater. And there we go, we eventually hit it. We've been refreshed a couple of times. Now we can put in, now what if it's lesser than? We throw another if statement, or we can use else. So we can do else. And again, you don't need to add no expression here. That's for something else. So then we can do echo var is less is 49 or less. And if we go ahead and refresh this, now we got this 49 or less, this is 50 or greater. So now we have a basic if and else statement. Now there's also else if, and that lets you go ahead and compare multiple ifs. But difference between using else if and a bunch of ifs is, as soon as one of those ifs are checked, it doesn't run the rest of the ifs. So let's say if we duplicate this right here and say that if var is less than 25 or less, let's do 35, or actually change this to 35. So now if we save this, and if it's less than 35 and it's less than 25, it'll give me both of those statements. So if we go back and refresh a couple of times, there we go, we get var is less than, is 35 or less. And as you see, we get multiple outputs here, and we really don't want that. There we go. Var is 35 or less, var is 25 or less. And let's say that we want, as soon as we want these to be equal or to be valid, we want the rest of them to stop. We can add else in the beginning of the if statement. So we do else if. So if it's greater than 50, print this out. If it's less than 35, print this out. If it's less than 25, print this out. But technically this should be above this one right here. Alright, so if it's less than 25, print this out. If it's less than 35, print this out. Else, it's going to print this out. Now as you see, I got a bunch of else ifs and an else, and that's pretty much the if statements. If you're going to have a bunch of else ifs here and you're just comparing a single number to it, a single number or a character or a string, you might want to look into statements or switch statements. But before I also end this, there's another way you can also define ifs. instead of using the brackets here, you can also use the colon at the end of it, and then you can get rid of the, go ahead, get rid of these, and again use the colon. So now it's kind of looking like Python. Something I like. And then to end, now that you have no brackets here, or no curly brackets, and you have these colons at the end, you have to end your if by doing end if. And that's the same exact syntax. Now you generally don't want to use this since if you want your code to be read by other people, it's easier if you just leave it with the brackets, like these. And there's another way of defining an if. If it's only one line, you don't even really need to have brackets there at all. So let's say it looks something like this now. We have no colon, no brackets, but in PHP this is still valid. It'll check the first line of the if, and then after that it will return to the next line, and not consider it within the if statement. But again, you don't want to do this because it's basically bad syntax programming, and it's harder for people to read. And that's pretty much it for if statements.